Here with us more, Chris Stirewalt, our Fox News digital politics editor, and Howie Kurtz, host of Mediabuzz right here on Fox. Debate bait. That was great. Almost a little late. In any event, good to see you both. And so you tell me, Stirewalt, it's on, because this is it. Carson goes into this debate tonight as the front runner in at least the latest national poll. And Trump, who has said all along, I'm only a counterpuncher, is now out there. I don't know, what is it called? Affirmatively punching? Striking me in? What is it? When it's just punching. You're just punching. You're pummeling.
Just punching. You're just punching at that point, yes. Look, Donald Trump has a problem, which is that Ben Carson is much better liked than he is. And the way you can think about favorability is it's what you've got in the bank that you can spend fighting somebody else. So if you're Jeb Bush, for example, you have low favorability. Trump has low favorability. Jeb Bush has even lower favorability. So it's hard to get into a fight with somebody, because every time you fight with somebody else, your favorability, your likability is going to go down too. Mm-hmm. So the thing for Donald Trump is, as a guy who has gone through this campaign without having to spend money, without having to dig into his pocket to do this, now is the time he's going to have to start running attack ads against Ben Carson, because Trump doesn't have the personal capital with voters to do this on his own. What
about it, Howie? Because already, before we've even started the debate, Trump was warning that it was going to be unfair. Already took a shot at CNBC saying, I'm sure it's going to be an unfair debate. Where does that come from?
Talk about working the refs. You know, Trump has been off his game during this latest Carson surge in the polls. At first he said he didn't believe a couple of the polls that showed Ben Carson had in Iowa. Then he said a couple of pollsters didn't like him, although their polls were perfectly fine when they showed him ahead. And then that clip that we saw of him, you know, kind of pleading with Iowa voters to get his numbers up. I know he was half joking. I know it was shtick, but it didn't sound great. And even a couple of little things like talking about the small $1 million real estate loan that his wealthy father gave him when he was getting started. It just seems like he's off balance, because he's lost his chief talking point, which is that I'm ahead in every single poll.
How about the others on that stage tonight, Stirewalt? You know, Ben Carson, he has said some things that have caused a lot of controversy, and yet with almost no impact on his numbers. His numbers, if anything, seem to be going up. And it seems like GOP voters are looking at him saying, I know he says some things that are, but I like him so much.
Well, they like him so much, number one. And number two, the places in which the establishment press goes after Ben Carson are the places that make Republicans like him more. How dare you say that you don't want a Muslim president? And Republican voters go, ding. And when they say, how dare you say that abortion is like slavery, they go, ding. Yeah. So they are running ads essentially for Ben Carson. They think that they're hurting him. They think they're bringing him down.
Chris, even in the past two debates, Carson had, at best, you know, quiet evenings, right? He had a zinger at the end of the first debate. The second debate, I can't remember any. But his numbers continue. It's like the debates, he's like the Teflon Don when it comes to the debates. It doesn't matter what happens for him. They just like him.
The closer you get to the end, the more important the substance of the answers become. So right now, we're almost 3 months away from Iowa. It's going to get serious. But I would point out that at this point in the 2012 cycle, Republicans were still enjoying popping the popcorn and listening to Herman Cain. They were done with Rick Perry. They were ready for the Cain train. They were going to go on to Newt Gingrich. 999. Blitz, as he called Wolf Blitzer. So there is a thing that happens where you're interested in less substantive issues, and then as you get closer to the end, you want to talk about more substance. I think Carson is going to surprise some people, because I think that when he talks about a few key substantive points, he's very good in talking about it, and he's very close to the basis.
Well, but of course, tonight's debate is all about the economy, Howie, and this is supposed to be Trump's area of expertise, and so a lot of people are saying that the pressure's on him, that they've sort of raised the bar on him to do extra well, and, you know, wondering whether Carson can hang. I want to get your thoughts on that, but I also want to ask you about Carly, because she made a big splash in the first two debates, and their numbers went way up, and now they're back down. I mean, I guess she could have another great debate, and then what happens?
For whatever reason, she wasn't able to sustain the surge after that great performance in the CNN debate. So this is a big opportunity for Carly Fiorina. But yes, she has to figure out how to build on it, as does Marco Rubio, who had two pretty good debates. Jeb Bush, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. But going back to Ben Carson, I agree with Chris that Republicans like the things that he says that the mainstream press considers to be controversial or inflammatory. But here's the danger for Dr. Carson. He has said some things that are either confusing or contradictory on policy when it comes comes to taxes and immigration and a flat tax and things like that. The media scrutiny is starting at the debate and continuing is really going to ratchet up on him because he's not just back in the pack anymore. And how he handles that, I think, could determine whether he breaks out of the Herman Cain mold and does have staying power
Before we go, Jeb Bush. I mean, is it a make it or break it night, or is that all BS? There's no make it or break it in the month of October in a presidential race the year before, Stirewalt.
We'll tell that to Scott Walker. There are make it or break it's, and the problem that Jeb Bush has is that he set expectations stratospheric. He rolled into the race. He was going to push everybody out. He was going to do all this stuff. It was going to be great. Now he's at the point that's saying he will spend his opponents to death. He will hit them with sacks of money in the face until they fall down. Everyone yields to him, and he shall be the last survivor. And that's not very appealing. And it also means this. It means that if Jeb Bush cannot go out and do more than fight with people. So fighting with people is not where Jeb Bush needs to be. Jeb Bush needs to look presidential and rise above it all. But if he does that, he risks looking like he is asleep on stage. So Jeb Bush is in a tough spot, and he's feeling a lot of pressure from the donors who have funded his campaign that want return on their investment.
You make it sound very appealing to be in a fight with Jeb Bush. You're going to slap you in the face with a bunch of money? I'll take it. I like to fight with him.
Keep it. You don't get to keep it.
Jeb's got to break through. Jeb's got to break through.
Great to see you both.
Bye.
Same here, Megyn.